in case anyone can't make it. Hi,
Thank you, robot.
everyone.
Hello.
Welcome. Hi, Red. Hi, Naomi. Hi, Lynn.
Hi.
Hi. Good to see you all. Hi. Thanks for joining. We're going to get started very soon, but I am very excited you're all here. Hi, Naomi. It's been a while. How are you? It's good to see you. See your name.
So to speak.
Yeah. Oh, good. Okay. While we're waiting, I'll get these slides set up so that we can jump in. Give me 1 second to do that. Oops. Can you all see that?
Yes, I can see it.
Okay. Okay, amazing. Great. Okay. Oh, now okay, there we go. Trying to fit it all on one tiny screen. I'm doing it. Okay. I think we're waiting for at least one other person, but maybe we should jump in just so we can fit everything in. And we are recording it, so we'll share that afterwards. Okay. Hi again, everyone. We already did that, but hello once again. I'm very excited. We are all very excited that you are all here and that you're all interested in learning more about this mentorship program. This is only the second time we're doing it. We just started it in the spring, so it's still new. We're still learning. But I think the participants in the spring had a really great opportunity. So we're really excited or rather they had a really great experience. And we're really excited to be able to offer this opportunity again. So I think Octavia Project folks, you all know me. I'm Megan. And I'm going to let the rest of the folks on this Zoom introduce themselves. Cameron, do you want to start?
Sure. So my name is Cameron Roberson. I am one of the lead organizers for Brooklyn Speculative Fiction Writers, which you're going to be hearing about quite a bit tonight. And I'm also executive producer of the Kaleidocast, which you'll be also hearing a little bit about. I'm the one who came to Meghan with the concept for a mentorship program here, what we call Constellations, and work to get these fine people, these writers, fantastic writers and educators here to help guide you to anyone who wants to become a professional, start about becoming a professional speculative fiction writer. More about me I can talk about later, but I'm going to keep it moving. How about you, Marcy?
Hi, everybody. I'm Marcy Arlen, and I've been with BSFW for over 10 years. I'm also an organizer. I run a short story group and a writing room group. My day job is I've been a theater professor at the City University of New York for many years. So I've worked in various CUNY colleges. I write short stories and novels, and I'm working on a graphic novel. So I have 2 novels done, and I have several short stories published. In fact, I just had 2 accepted in the last month, so I'm very excited. And that was after a long period of nothing. So that's just an inspiration for you guys. And I write fantasy and science fiction, and they tend to be weird and funny.
Thank you, Marcy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Liam Burke. I've been with BSFW for several years now. Time is a construct and nothing actually makes sense with it. So we'll just say several for now. After 2020, we all know that that's not a thing. So yeah, I'm in BSFW. I've been writing for many years. First independently. I used to publish independent novellas. collections of short stories for the most part, and a fairy tale I wrote for my son that had illustrations. But I've come to BSFW because Cameron recruited me because I wanted to get more into the traditional publishing space. And it has helped me tremendously in doing so. Ever since joining, I have had at least, I think, 5 now professionally published short stories. And I have had incredible feedback on the novel that I've been writing, and it is at least 3,000 times better because we know I'm good at measurements, and that's totally a measurement. Um, but it's seriously, it has been an incredible boon for me and my writing in general, and so I'm just kind of here to help give back on that. My comfort spaces are horror for the most part, but also sci-fi, cyberpunk specifically would be my other happy space. So urban fantasy, cyberpunk, and horror are my happy places.
Thank you, Liam. And Jonathan.
Okay, hello everyone. My name is Jonathan Hernandez, or John. I am a science fiction writer. I joined the BSFW in 2010, and I'm a co-organizer. My debut novel, One Day's a Lion, came out in 2021. I finished a novel recently. I'm trying to shop it around now, and I'm currently working on a short story, but it's looking like it's turning into a novella. That's what usually happens every time I try to write a short story. I'm the guy who likes robots and aliens. So I went to grad school to study writing. So I have a background in that. I'm familiar and fluent in the language of literary creative writing, but I like commercial stuff. It's really space opera, science fiction, things with spaceships and other planets. So yeah, I think that's it.
One other note about Jonathan is that if you go to BSFW, or if you look on the bottom left-hand side of your screen, that coin that is a BSFW coin, he's the one who designed that and drew that for us. So also, the arts do cross mingle, which is not a word, but also just like time, language is very malleable. Okay, and last but not least is Brad.
Hello, my name is Brad Parks. I founded the Brooklyn Speculative Fiction Writers in 2010. I am a fantasy and science fiction writer. My day job is pharmaceutical copywriting, so I'm more than a bit of a nerd. My definite sweet spots, though, are like fantasy, urban fantasy, steampunk, solar punk, those sort of realms. I tend to write optimistic and vaguely romantic stories. So that is definitely my happy place. And I look forward to being a mentor this cycle because I definitely enjoy sharing knowledge through this group where I run a few critique groups and frequent workshops. So I enjoy that activity very much. So welcome, everyone.
All right, so that's all the introductions on our side.
Okay, should we move ahead? Get into what is BSFW?
Yeah. So these are the highlights. We are the largest active speculative fiction writers group in New York City. Been so for the last 10 years, 200 plus people who are at all different stages of talent, of time, of basically any of their level of writing, whether they are just starting out semi-pro or pro. We were all mingling together and working together so that there was the opportunity for a higher level of writing to the professional level. And the next slide is going to tell you a bit more about that. It's Brad talking to you via video. Oh, look, is it the same shirt? Is that the same shirt?
No,
different bow tie, though. The bow tie changes. Yeah. That's how you tell the different episodes. It's the bow ties.
Yeah. Start at the beginning.
Can you all hear that? No.
We
Okay, I
can't
think I need to,
audio, but Brad, the reason that's not at the very
one
beginning,
second.
at the very beginning, you say, "I'm sorry I couldn't be here." There we go.
Yeah, so sorry.
Okay, let me try that again with sound.
Fantasy readers. I started writing stories as soon as I could hold a pencil, creating fantasy adventure stories that featured all of my friends. When I started playing Dungeons and Dragons in high school, I wrote elaborate backstories for all of my characters. So it only made sense that stories and novels would follow. I love to learn new things, and that's one of the parts of writing that I enjoy the most. We are thrilled that you're interested in participating in this program. The mission of BSFW is, and always has been, to help writers of speculative fiction improve their skills and achieve their goals of publication. We provide all writers, whether they have never written before or have already been published, a safe place to receive feedback, ask questions, improve their skills, and talk to other writers about similar interests. That's where you come in. Writing is a way to tell the stories only you can tell, and speculative fiction empowers you to explore the world in unique ways. We want to give you the tools and encouragement to do those things. This program is an introduction to the community of writers, where writers help each other polish stories until they shine. Stories are meant to entertain, to take readers to places that have never existed before, to feel and learn and laugh and cry. The best stories do all of these things. Your voice is important, and we want to help you share your ideas with the world. So, welcome to Constellations, the Octavia Project mentorship program with the Brooklyn Speculative Fiction Writers.
Well done. Brad, is there anything else you want to add to that before we move on to the next slide?
I don't think so. I mean, that I wanted that video played because I thought it summed up the program, the group, and everything in one neat little package. It's hard to be that poised and put together on the spot.
Okay, then. The one thing I would add is that, and we're going to talk about this more, and Brad kind of touched on it. Beyond the writing of the story that you're going to be talking about and talking with your mentor, it is also becoming part of a larger community of people who are like-minded, or finding the community that is like-minded. Whether or not you're critiquing a story or getting feedback on a story, or just want to talk about speculative fiction and get started with that earlier, this is the place to do it. Because it may find it harder to do so, particularly if you're going to the college level, because speculative fiction and genre fiction in general, while it is popular now, it has not always been so. And so in academia, it tends to be a little bit slower to change. So this is one of the reasons why we're doing this. I see Marcy's hand.
Yeah, I just want to add that often when you're in other writing critique groups, people want to know why you're writing about vampires, or why you're in faster than light spaceships, or how come there are weird tunnels under the earth, or you have giant spiders. We're like, okay, great, giant spiders. Now, what is the motivation of the giant spiders? So you'll get a lot of acceptance for your strange ideas here.
Yeah, if I can, I just want to echo a sentiment really quickly. Yeah, when I was in grad school, it was sort of it wasn't discouraged, but yeah, I would sort of get weird looks. But invariably, in every writing class, there is someone who's writing something speculative or genre, and more often than not, these people will find one another. They will seek each other out. You will find your people. So that's one of the reasons why I joined BSFW, because I knew I would be accepted. And yeah, and you don't. Sometimes you get the comment, "Oh, I don't really read this, this kind of stuff." So it's like, I don't know what to say, and it's like, well, that's not very helpful. So this is one of the reasons why we have to seek out like minds. So.
And Liam.
And me also as well. Yeah, I just wanted to basically throw my 2 cents in on that. My time in college, because I did go to school for theater and English. And it was literally stated that the the teacher in the creative writing class that I was taking said that they didn't want any of that science fiction or fantasy crap because all of the solutions in science fiction and fantasy are easy. You have a problem and you just solve it with magic and things like that. And whereas that can be true, that can also be true of any other genre. So one of the things that we strive for in BSFW is making sure that if you do have contrivances or giant spiders or problems, that the solutions are still meaningful, that the stories are still just as compelling and pivotal as any kind of regular standard fiction would be. So, yeah.
Okay. Anything else on that note? I don't think so. So, any questions so far from you possible mentees? So I'm going to stop at a couple places where you can ask questions, or you can hold your questions till the end, or you can also put them into the chat. It'll be answered there as well. Okay, I see. Oh, thank you. Thank you, Red. Thank you. Okay, let's move it on. Let's move it on to the next slide then. Okay, so what is the Kaleidocast.nyc? As it's been said before, one of the things that BSW tries to do is to build authors up to a professional level. As part of that mission, we have the Kaleidocast.nyc, which is a speculative fiction specific podcast where we pair really good writers, new writers from the Brooklyn, New York City area with very well-known writers as well. So we can see that high level of skill, even if you haven't heard their names before. Also, what the Kaleidocast does is we focus our content specifically so that we are talking about things that relate to us living here in New York City. There's a list here on the page of some of those things that matter to us, which are part of our criteria when we are looking for stories that have been, or rather when we are deciding on stories that have been sent to us as to whether or not we're going to submit them, which is also part of the publication process. Is a lot of places that you might want to publish with. They will have standards and they will have categories and genre specific needs that they, or niches that they want people to write towards. So this is all part of the professionalism that's required if you're a speculative fiction writer, either in the short story market or if you're going to go up beyond that. But as you can see, some of these different titles are immigration, Black lives, urban cities, urban city living struggles, gentrification, all the way down to the bottom, also mermaids, so these just happen to be things that are Brooklyn specific as a way of connecting our stories with the place that we live, with what we're publishing. And the thing about Kaleidocast, as it connects to you specifically, is that Kaleidocast is not open to everybody on the internet. We pay professionally. To pay professional rate, we have to limit the scope of the number of random people who are throwing stories at us. To do that, is generally limited only to people either we solicited ourselves for a story, or they've been submitted through BSFW. These are known BSFW members. So rather than a million people submitting stories and breaking our website, it's coming from about a pool of 200 people, plus the Octavia Project mentors, or rather mentees. So you joining this program also allows for you to submit a story to the Kaleidocast when we are in season, and possibly also when we're out of season. If your story is selected, then it becomes published at a professional level, which is again the goal, ultimately, I think, for many of us who come to BSW. Okay, that is the Kaleidocast. Okay, so what is this opportunity all about? So if you are a speculative fiction writer, or if you're a writer, period, there are places outside of colleges that will give you the experiences that you want. They are workshops, they are retreats, but many of them are very, very expensive to get into, and very extremely selective as well. And so there's no training wheels for that. So we decided that this would be an opportunity for us to create those training wheels so you can get in on that kind of experience as well whatever you might be doing in college or on your own if you were doing something else outside of this. So the first part of this opportunity is to work with a professional writing mentor. That means that you'll have somebody, one person, whose job it is to look at your story specifically, see what you're doing, understand what you're doing, have a conversation with you, and then find ways to make it better. Find ways to elevate your writing from point A to point B. If point C happens to be publication level, fantastic. But our goal really is for you to walk out of here knowing more and being more confident in your storytelling, because you've had the kind of experiences which, quite frankly, cost hundreds to thousands of dollars on the open market if you were to go out and find it. But we do this as a means of goodwill to the community that we love, which is speculative fiction and writers in general. And that is you. The second part of this, as I said before, is to submit your work for publication. I've told you about the Kaleidocast and how that is an opportunity to be published as well, a very small pool. But you are not limited to our small pool to submit your stories. We just kind of put that within a little bit closer within range. Any story that you do will inevitably be better. And so we want you to take that story and be able to publish it wherever speculative fiction stories are found and sold and bought. But through through Constellations, we will show you what the market looks like, how to interact with that market, and what the level of polish is required to be successful there as well. And I will stop there on this particular slide. Okay. So any questions so far of anything I've said, or that's been said? It looks like the answer is great. Okay, so we're going to keep on going. So who can apply? Only you, quite frankly. So people who have gone through Octavia Project, either they are current alumni, current or past. So you just have to be high school level or older to participate in this process. We will talk about the qualifications for participating on the next slide. But it is just you. We can turn to the next slide. What kind of stories can be submitted? So as we said before, these are speculative fiction stories. So there's a list which we have here. They are fantasy, science fiction, horror, any genres that are kind of like that. If you were to Google speculative fiction, you can. You'll find a whole host of different things. If you were to Google examples of speculative fiction, you can do that as well. I'm at my library right behind me. So, for example, you haven't heard of this book, Sal and Gabby Break the Universe. This is a time travel book with wormholes, all right, in alternate universes. This is speculative fiction. But so also is a story like Big Machine by Victor Laval. This is more psychological, but the monsters in this story, they feel so real, even though some of them might not actually be real. The monsters actually are real. So this is also speculative fiction. And there's everything in between. Or those are novels. We're talking about short stories as well. When you submit a story to be read as that's your interview for Constellations, you're going to be doing a short story, or at least trying or attempting a short story. They can be as short as 500 words, which is flash fiction, or they can be up to 3,000 words. Again, these numbers they're not random. They're the minimum and max numbers for some markets that are out there for speculative fiction. So again, we're moving towards that publication kind of framework as well. So this is for the story that you might submit to us, and ultimately the story that you would finish if you finish your story within the time allotted for the Constellations project. Okay. Please continue. And if I say anything again, mentors, please do raise your hand so I see you to jump in and say something. Okay. So to clarify, you can submit whatever story you'd like for the mentorship program as long as it falls within our speculative fiction genre, and it says 1,000 should be at least 500 words to 3,000 words. A couple reasons for that. One being just this is the market. Also, this is what we have time to read as well. So we can get a good look at what you're writing. Anything less than 500 words, honestly, does not give us enough on the page for us to get to know you. And more than 3,000 words, then we're starting to think, okay, be careful, because one of the things about publication is following the instructions that are given to you from the people you're trying to publish with. And this ends up being kind of like a key element of being published. There are so many people trying to get published that oftentimes editors are looking for a reason to say no. One of the easiest reasons that they have to say yes is for you to follow those instructions that they give you. When you submit, I think it's going to be in the next slide. Yeah, go to the next slide, please. I think it's in the next one. Okay. I'll say this again. You may or may not end up working on the story with your mentor. So we are doing a short story. It may be the case that whatever you send us is something that you've been working on already. So maybe you've been working on a novel. Because who does that? Everybody does that. I know I jumped into novels before I started doing the short stories, because novels tend to be somehow, for whatever reason, easier to start. You could be working on that. It could have been something that you were actually writing for a class. That's also fine too. It could be something that you start specifically for us as your submission. That is also fine. The point is to give us something that gives us an idea of what you feel represents to you on the page. Whatever the genre that you like to write about, whatever you think your skill sets are, this is how we know what they are. Along with the form that you're going to submit. As part of the form is, besides the actual writing submission itself, it's also some bio information. So what do you like to write? How does writing impact your life, particularly speculative fiction? These are things that help us to guide you towards the right mentor in our program as well. Next slide, please. Did I answer that question on that slide? Did I go on a tangent? It might have gone on a tangent. So I'll just read one more thing to clarify from the previous slide is whatever you submit, it may or may not be the thing that you end up finally working on. You submit it, and then say, for example, it was part of a novel or a piece of a longer work. Since that would not work within the framework of 1,500 words or 3,000 words as a final piece, you would then have to decide with your mentor what the actual final product is going to be that you're going to be working on. Yes, now I finally answered that final bullet point. You're free to submit your completed story anywhere. Can you go back to the previous slide? I think I was talking about something different. Yes, okay. So we have this mentorship is 3 months long. And in that 3 months, you have one-on-one direct conversation via Zoom or in person, depending on how you work that out with your mentor, to talk about your story. And then you will be working on that story with emails or correspondence during that month before you meet for them for the second time and then for the third time. The hope is by the end of your third month that you have something that has a beginning, a middle, and an end. You may not get there. And the pressure to get there is completely dependent upon how much you love this particular story and how much you want to see it done with the mentor that you're talking to. But 3 months is not the beginning, rather, it's not the end of your writing career. It's just the beginning. It's 3 months to polish, clean, figure out character development, figure out settings, figure out what your voice sounds like on the page. And then that's to start the process. If your story is not done, that is okay, but please do take every opportunity with this one-on-one person you're working with, because as I said before, it's very rare to get this one-on-one talking with you and only you about your story and giving it their full attention. So yeah, so do the best you can to complete the story and work to write to the deadlines that you have. So if at the end of the first meeting, you and your mentor decide, okay, I want to try and be at this point by the next meeting because your mentor is giving you feedback, then please do work to that point so that you're not rushing at the very end to rush and get something to your mentor, because they're going to want some time to read what you've written so they can give you better feedback for that second meeting and for that third meeting. try as much as possible not to cram. You don't learn as much by cramming. Okay, next slide. You're free to submit your creative story anywhere. Yep, I think I said that. I'm not going to spend too much time on this. We want you to become professional writers. You're not chained to the Kaleidocast or BSW to do so. So just get it out there. That's it. And so to clarify, to get the most out of this experience, communicate with your mentor in a professional manner and on time. This is the first thing, so I want to take a moment to reiterate this. We are doing this because we see the potential in you as a writer. Everyone here that you're going to be talking to, they have put in the work to write and finish stories. And they've done the same kind of work on themselves that we're going to be doing with you as a writer. Please respect their time. Please respect their energy. Because in doing so, you're also respecting yourself. We're showing up for you, so please do show up for us as well by putting forward your best effort on whatever you're putting on the page. It will not be perfect. It will be drafty. But in the conversation that you have with your mentor, it should be clear that you have definitely thought about this to a point where the mentor has something to grasp onto to say, okay, I see what you're doing. I see what you're trying to do. Let me guide you in this direction, rather than coming in and saying, I don't know. Then it makes it harder for us to spend that time with you at a less focused manner to try and figure out what it is that you're trying to say, rather than having a conversation with the thought you've already put into what's on the page. Hopefully that made sense. Completely assigned reading. So, I just made everything big. So the assigned reading, we're all, you can see my library back here. We read a lot, speculative fiction writers. And so we have, there are stories which we feel that are, if not classic, really, really well done. Like if you read these stories that we're going to show you, and it's going to be different depending upon who your mentor is, you'll get something out of it. Hopefully you'll also enjoy the story as much as they do. Maybe not, but there'll be pieces of it that they're specifically focused on. So some authors are better at description. Some authors are better at interiority. Some authors are better at just structuring a paragraph just so that that idea explodes off the page. Structuring the sentence just right, so it's poetry. And a whole story is told in a sentence. Some writers are very, very good at that. There's no way to explain it. You just have to see it on the page. So please do take the opportunity to read the reading. Engage in discussion around stories on Discord. So our whole writers group is moving towards Discord. We used to be on Slack, now we're on Discord. I believe that if you're not this, I think Meghan, maybe you guys, some of you guys are already in Discord. So, since we've mostly gone virtual since 2020, we want to continue to have those conversations virtually as well around books. And a lot of the panels and a lot of the cons around the world for speculative fiction, they are also on Discord as well. So this is another way to jump in and start connecting to these other places. But we would like you to have conversations amongst yourselves on our BSW Constellations Discord channel. Just to continue it so that you're thinking about stories even when you're not writing the story itself and building that community. Last, participating in at least one critique discussion in Brooklyn speculative fiction writers. So just by joining Constellations, you're automatically enrolled is about, no, you have leveled up into BSFW. Most BSFW members, they pay a very small nominal monthly fee. You do not do that. Since you're Octavia Project members and Constellations mentees, your access is free. And with that free access, what we would like you to do is to join our community of writers who are doing the same kind of work that you're doing, and do it in a limited fashion so that you get to see what good discussion around speculative fiction. Actually, no, I'll put it a different way. What healthy discussion around speculative fiction and writing it looks like, because it can vary from group to group to group outside of BSW with no real guardrails to know what you're going to be walking into. With BSW, we have worked very hard to make sure that the people who are running it and the people that you're engaging with know how to talk about stories and how to make sure that the people that they're talking to are curious, and their curiosity is rewarded. How to make space so that you can ask a question and get someone who genuinely wants to answer that question and talk about your story in a way that, quite frankly, you probably won't get anywhere else. So we want you to see that model so that wherever you go outside of Constellations, you know what it does look like and what it does feel like, so you don't walk into something that's toxic and not know the difference. So we definitely want you to do this. It is not a requirement, but I guarantee you that it'll only make your writing better in any capacity. If you are right now in college and you're going to take any kind of course on writing literature or even talking about books, this will only make it better. And doing that earlier on, I think, is always better as well. That is what I have to say about that. So now, crunch time. What is their timeline? So there are.
It looks like Marcy raised her hand.
Marcy, go ahead.
Yeah, I just want to let them know that the critique sessions last 2 hours at the most. So that would be once a month. So the Sunday one, there's a Tuesday one, there's a Thursday one, there might be another one. So that your time commitment is literally 2 hours in a month.
And
So
Marcy, on top of that, I forgot to mention that that's 2 hours if you decide to stay for the entire meeting. For the Constellations, you have the option of staying for the entire meeting. You can read all the stories that are submitted because they vary depending on the meeting you're going to. But you only would be reading one story to be giving feedback on. And that feedback can be in the form of on the document itself, via the video chat, or in dialogue, in conversation with the rest of the people who are attending that meeting. So it, rather than being 2 hours, could end up being 30 minutes, depending upon what story that you happen to be going into, what meeting you happen to be going into as well. But of course, if you stay for longer, you will get more out of it if you do so. Okay. Anything else? No? Okay. Check 811. Okay, so timeline. What happens first, next, third, and last? The info session. We're doing it right now. We are on our way to you joining the Constellations. Submission. So you will get an email from Meghan with a link to the submission form. As I said before, that form gets us your bio data information. If you are high school age, we'll also need to have your guardian also sign off, saying that they are aware that you're doing this and they want you to do this. They're allowing you to do this. And also that is where we get to know why you're writing, what you like to write, where you feel your strengths are, where do you think you feel like you would want more feedback. And then of course there's also the submission, the document itself, which would be you have to submit attached to this form. The submission deadline is October 29th. That's 10 days. 10 days is not enough time to write a good story. It is not. Unless, of course, you are Neil Gaiman. Actually, no, he also writes crap in 10 days too. He said so. So what you're doing is you are putting as much of yourself on the page as you can, reading through it, trying to polish what you can. It is going to be a draft. In that polishing process, though, you will see, and then we will see as well, where we need to focus our energies as instructors, as mentors. What are the things that we know, oh, this person needs this, but also wants this. We get to see that through your submission. So let's say, it's 2 days until the submission. You're like, oh no, I haven't written anything. Start writing something. Get it on the page so that you can get a sense for what is going to be your journey, and so that we do as well. It's the only way, by getting words on the page. Marcy has her hand raised.
Yeah, can they submit something they've already written, or does it have to be something new?
It does not have to be something new. So it could be something you're doing for a class. It could be something that you've had for a while, you've been hanging on to. It could be something that you're doing for us specifically. In the past, in our previous PowerPoint, we said no fanfic. I don't mind fanfic for the submission. It just won't be what you ultimately work on, because you're working with someone else's IP, We can't publish that no matter what. So it can be any of those things, written specifically for us, written for another class, written for something you've already written previous to this. Just make sure that before you submit it, you submitted it following the guidelines of the form, and it is clear that it is speculative in nature. And if you have any questions about that, please do ask us. Two, that it looks like you thought about it. That's the key. Okay. Orientation, that's 4. So once we have the submissions, the mentors are going to read through them. We're going to see where you fit as far as who are you going to connect to as a mentee, what we think you're going to who you're going to connect to, either as a mentor. And we have orientation, the date to be determined once we have your submission deadlines. I expect that we should have them within, again, 10 days of an answer within 10 days of when you submit your document. And the last is the mentorship itself. So once we have done the orientation, after the orientation, you are going to talk to your mentor and talk about your schedule and figure out when are going to be the times each month that you're going to be working. On the form, one of the things that we've asked for are testing schedule. So when are you going to be in midterms or finals? We definitely want to know about that, because we may have to work around them when we are figuring out when you're going to work, when you're going to do this process. So it may be that in a 3-month period, one of those months happens to be mid-finals. So then what would happen is we do a bye and go on to the next month. So you're not trying to do both at the same time. That makes sense. So 3 months becomes 4 months total, but 3 months of working with the constellations and with your mentor. And yeah, so that's Jonathan. Yes.
Sorry to bring it back. Can I get clarification on this? So there are certain stipulations, right? Speculative fiction, short fiction, but in the past there was also, you requested that the story takes place in Brooklyn or involves Brooklyn in some way thematically. Are we still doing that?
No, does not have to.
Okay, thank you.
If you make the choice to write your story towards the Kaleidocast, right, then that's what we're accepting. Something which is urban fantasy, Brooklyn oriented. Brooklyn is in there in some way, shape, or form, as per the list of topics I talked about in the previous slide. But for this season, this market period, I guess, whatever, it does not have to be Brooklyn specific. Just write what you want to write. Just make it speculative and make it good. That's all. Okay, so I'm done talking extremely quickly. I'm glad this was recorded. And this is now a time to ask questions with us all in the room, or type questions, one of the two.
Can we get out of the slides, Megan? Is that possible? So I can never see everybody. Thank you.
Much better. Okay, is there a word requirement for the submission? Yes, so the word requirement is from 500 to 1,000 words. Excuse me, to 3,000 words. 2,000 is the max. So if you do go over that, you understand, but do please try to limit it.
Can I answer that a little bit?
Mm-hmm.
If you send us, let's say you have, something longer you're working on, we'll pull out an excerpt of up to 3,000 words to work on with you. So let's say you have a 10,000 word or a 12,000 novel that you can pull out a chapter. I mean, we prefer a short story that is complete in itself. And we can maybe help you transform what, an element of your novella or novel, and transform it into a short story. That's also a possibility. It may be, if you write long, some people just write long and some people write short. So there's that.
Okay. there's another question here. Most of my questions were answered, but if we're chosen, what does working with a mentor look like? How often in the meetings? Is it on Zoom? So yeah, these are all good questions. Before I answer some of the specifics about Zoom, etc., mentors, do you want to talk about your experience working with mentees last year? What it was like?
Sure. Yeah. So I think a lot of us had varied experiences because we're all very adaptable people. The mentors here are understanding that everybody has different schedules and different styles and different needs and whatnot. So for example, Marcy had two mentor or mentees. The rest of us had one. I myself, we ended up more or less communicating throughout the month by them updating the Google Doc where they had their story. And then there would be comments, and I would like make comments back, and they would reply to them and stuff. And then yes, once a month we would also have the established Zoom meeting where we would then chat in person. But those meetings themselves are also very adaptable because they varied from us having the full 2 hour conversation to halfway through my mentee being inspired and telling me to go fly a kite because she wanted to go write. So then I was more than happy to be like, yes, I will let you go and do your writing thing because, when it hits, and we're not going to, stand between you and when inspiration hits. So it can look how you want it to look, but the general structure tends to be one Zoom meeting. And if you can swing it, updates weekly to your document, in which you are expected to get feedback to like once a week throughout the month. That's kind of like the general structure, but again, it's very adaptable.
Marcy?
I used Google Meet because sometimes the time we'd meet would conflict with Zoom availability on BSFW. So that was generally, once I figured out how to do it, seems to be still going on forever and ever and ever, no matter what I do to it. So we'll do that. One thing that often happened is things came up in the mentee's life pretty much, and that was fine. What I'd like is like, a day or two notice or a few days notice, if you have to change something or you're not well. Somebody had a family issue and said, I can't, we'd set up 3 times. So usually we set up like the first Monday of the month or the third Wednesday of the month. And that was sort of the initial setup, but that often got moved around. So that's fine with me as long as I don't show up and I'm like, where's, that never happened. But just to make sure you give us plenty of notice if you have to change something. That was important. And most of us are fast readers and fast critiquers, but I like minimum 2 to 3 days to really look at your work, to think about it before we meet and give you feedback. So, I can adjust with less, but I prefer not to. So that's my thinking on that.
Oh, on Marcy's point, another thing to talk about, and I've only very briefly talked about it in the PowerPoint, is that we are moving on to Discord. So we want to go to where it's going to be the easiest to have these conversations. For some people, it's a phone call. And I'm talking about, outside of your official meeting. It's a text. Some people, it's an email. Maybe some people don't like using email so much because it's for anybody who is 40 years and over. It's also Discord. Discord is new for us, but it is, it's like our going to be our group messaging service that we're going to be using as well. So that tends to be an easier way to communicate, then that's what we'll do. But that's a conversation you have with your mentor, how best to communicate so you guys aren't missing each other. Okay. And let's see, did we answer that question, or was there something else you're asking, Lynn? Thank you. Answered it. Okay. I think that is all, Megan, unless you want to say something, unless there's something that we did not cover you want us to just touch on again.
I don't think so, unless anyone has any other questions. So just to reiterate, the application to be matched with a mentor will be due in 10 days, October 29th. I'll be sharing the link for that tomorrow, so look out for an email from me with that link. If you don't see it, get in touch with me, and I will share it. And we'll make these slides available and the recording available so you can go back. But you can also email me with any questions that you have too.
Okay. I have to apologize. Camilla had reached out to me to see if I reached out to her to see if she could come, and then she said yes. I didn't see the message until too late. So Camilla was one of our mentees from last year. Really wonderful work with Marcy, and she is someone. If you know her, you can Discord her, I guess, and say, "Hey, Camilla, what was it like working with your mentor during Constellations?" And she will tell you what it was like. We don't. No secrets here. Everything is above board. Any questions you have to ask us, please do ask us. We like answering questions. That's why we're here.
Yeah, and I think Leah is also on Discord, and Leah was one of the mentees last time too. So I know, Red, you at least know Leah. Lynn, you might know Leah and Camilla too. But yeah, if you want to message either of them on Discord. I don't know if Eden and Bria are on Discord. They also did the program. You look for them. Look for them on Discord. If you see them, you can also ask them.
Okay. Brad.
Yeah, I just wanted to say just one thing in conclusion. This program is for you, the mentees. Whatever it is you want to work on, whatever your goals are for these conversations, for the work that you want to do, this is all geared toward what you want to get out of it. So it's all about getting to know your mentor, communicating, expressing what your goals are, what your dreams are, what interests you in terms of the kind of writing you want to do, the things that get you excited as a writer. That's what we want to help you achieve. So that's essentially what this program is all about.
I do believe it's in the contract for the mentees that when they write their first novel, that they have to put in the acknowledgments, their constellations.
By magical ritual.
I wrote it. I'm pretty confident it's there. But yeah, so other than that, if you have any more questions for us, message Megan, again, Camilla and Leah. They're on the Discord, and we will also be in Discord soon. Would love to see you, but I see your names, so it's a good place to start. And have a good night. We will hopefully talk to you soon. Happy writing.
Thanks all. Thanks for joining. Thanks, Red. Thanks, Naomi. Thanks, Lynn.
Well,
I'll be in touch.
No
Thank you, everybody.
Yeah, so
thank you.
Bug out while
Bye.
Right.
Good night.
And I'm going to stop recording.